Welcome to another edition of The Gloves Are Off Overtime. I'm Moses Woldu. I'm shaking my head for a very good reason. We'll get to that one in a second. But first, I want to introduce my guests who don't deserve a shake of a head, but a thumbs up. Greg Buchanan, Kyle Galliver. How you guys doing?
Not bad.
Not too bad, not too bad.
Perfect. Well, we'll start off, and the reason why I was shaking my head was Rex Ryan. Well, he had his back turned to the people who were asking questions. There was a reason why. During his game, the exhibition game against the New York Giants, he had Geno Smith in for about 3 quarters. Geno Smith looked like what a rookie should look like with a first-string team. That was 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, stepped out of bounds in the back of the end zone, gave up a safety. That's how bad it was. So in the 4th quarter, he decided to throw in, of course, their projected starter, Mark Sanchez, with a bunch of third stringers. What ends up happening is the blocking protection's not that great. He ends up hurting his throwing shoulder, and now there's a bigger controversy in his hands. But despite losing Mark Sanchez and despite Rex Ryan's tirade over the weekend, which of the two will last longer in New York?
That's a tough one. I don't think they're both going to be there for that much longer, but I would say just based on the fact that Sanchez signed an extension last year and that it's easier to fire the coach, Ryan's probably going to go on first. He's a very polarizing guy. Either you really like him or you really dislike him, and I think this last move is kind of pushing people more to the really dislike side.
Yeah, I think he, for a while when the Jets were winning, the fans in New York loved him, the media loved him, and now, yeah, I think it's time for some changes in New York, and quarterback is one, coach is next.
All right, we'll see what happens there. Now, sticking with the NFL, this one made me scratch my head a bit. I have the utmost respect for Mike Shanahan. He's won 2 Super Bowls, has taken plenty of teams to the playoffs. But yet, the Washington Redskins head coach has said that anything short of a Super Bowl is a disappointing season. You only made the playoffs once in your tenure, and you had a wonderful quarterback in RG3, who's now a sophomore, who's banged up. Are these lofty expectations for the Washington Redskins?
They're lofty, but what's he going to say? The team made the playoffs last year.
You
Everyone's
could say you're
going
going to improve, we're going to make the playoffs, we're going to make some noise. You don't have to say Super Bowl or bust.
I guess that's true. You don't need to proclaim it like that. But, I mean, he's a confident guy. He's won a few. I'm sure he wants to get the fans fired up. There is a lot of hope. I mean, RG3 is banged up, but he's still good. Their team's not a bad team. They're slowly improving, getting better. So I would say it is lofty, but what's a guy supposed to say?
You know what? And this goes 2 ways. It's great motivation for the players in the dressing room that you have confidence in your players, of their ability, that so much so that just not making the playoffs is enough. We want to get to the Super Bowl. And that tells you something to the players, and that's great for the players. But at the same time, it goes into the other locker rooms saying that the Skins think they can get to the Super Bowl. Well, this will motivate us next week when we play against them.
Especially when you have the Giants. The Cowboys seem to be a team that might be improved this year as well.
You do not give any ammo to the teams that you play against, and I think he just did.
Even the Eagles as well. I think the Eagles are going to be much better than they were last year. Tiger Woods looked like a guy that was breaking down at the Barclays, collapsing. It was very tough to watch, although he came pretty close to winning the event, just losing out to Adam Scott. But normally we see this with a lot of athletes. We saw this with, they say, Cam Neely is an example that was brought to mind. Same thing with Terrell Davis, the running back for the Broncos. Was fantastic, 2 Super Bowls, rushed for over 2,000 yards, but after an injury, his body started breaking down and was no longer, he was a shadow of himself. Are we starting to see that with Tiger Woods being a shadow of his former self?
Well, he is, but that's going to happen with any athlete anyways. I mean, if you look at how his year's gone this year, he's got the most wins on the tour this year. He's got the most money earnings. It's not like he's having a horrible year. I'm sure anybody else would love to have Tiger Woods' year, but it's just because he was so on.
The exceptions, it's like any exceptional player. The standard is so high, and if they can't reach that or at least meet it, then it's a disappointment. Are we starting to see that with Tiger?
Well, it's one weekend. I know he's had some injuries off and on
Knees,
the last couple of years.
Now it's back.
But, you know, he wakes up in the morning, looks in the mirror, and he sees that I'm not young anymore. Hey, I know what that feels like. And things break down on you, and you can't do the things you used to be able to do. The only bad thing is with his age, it takes that a little bit longer to recover from it. And I don't think people realize the torque that goes on a person's body when they hit a golf ball. And then Woods hits it as hard as he does. there's a tremendous torque, tremendous pressure on his back, his legs, his knees, his wrists, you name it.
And very quickly, because of the longevity reasons, is that going to be cut short now because of what is going on through his body? It's starting to break down.
I don't know. It depends what he does over the offseason. If he decides that he's going to be more of a player that picks and chooses what tournaments he plays and decides to rest, I could see him going that route. But if he keeps going just based on age, you can't keep doing that.
Well, the thing is, what takes a younger guy 2 weeks to recover from, maybe even a week, it'll take a guy his age maybe 4 to 5 weeks. And that's the thing where he needs time to rest.
Well, considering that his average is still better than most, that says a lot about him. Thanks a lot, guys. You guys were above average in this segment.
Well, thank you.
Anytime,
All right.
Moses.
Thanks a lot. And thank you for joining us on the overtime edition of Gloves. Please tune in every 7:30 Tuesday, CITL. Make sure you're there. We got a great guest. Myself and Greg, we'll love to banter with you too. So in the meantime, we'll see you in 7 days.